Hello there! My name is CritterXD. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm talking Wheel of Time Episode 4! And if you've seen it, this one was a doozy. In my opinion, the best one yet. So I'm gonna dive right in, super quick. All I want to say first is, if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and press the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. Let's get into it! So the cold open for this episode was it the best one? I think it was the best one yet. I don't know. This episode just blew my mind. Basically, we got Logain. We got the teaser for Logain at the end of the last episode, and it was all very exciting. And then we got actual Logain. We saw this in a preview, but we get to see Logain channeling, and what a channeling it is. Oh my gosh. One more time. Here we go. Here we go. What is happening? You can see the corruption and it looks so awesome. I feel like they really nailed the visualization of the taint / corruption on the male half of the One Power. That looks so cool and it communicates what's going on so well with the oil slick look. It's so good. I also want to note that in my last video I complained that women channeling do a lot of hand movements and I wanted to see someone just being, you know, in the moment without all the dancing, and Logain gave me that. And then we got the corruption. We saw what his madness was manifested as, and it's people whispering in his ear, not sweet nothings, murdery nothings. And it wanted him to kill this king, but he resisted. We stan a merciful false dragon. I also think it just goes to show how strong Logain is as a character, just straight out of the gate. He's got madness, it's pretty obvious, and yet instead of murdering this king that the madness was telling him to murder, he resisted and inspired him to join him. I think that was pretty amazing. I, for one, am incredibly grateful that we're getting more Logain in the show than we got early on in the books, because I think it's making for an awesome story. Something else I really appreciated from this episode is that we got characters that were used to being incredibly stoic and kind of walled off, having friends, buddying around. This is not something I expected, but I really, really enjoyed it. Look, he's teasing him about Nynaeve. Who on earth would expect that out of Lan and anyone? Obviously, there's a lot going on plot-wise while Moiraine is bonding with people. Logain trying to escape, for example. But then they're still teasing each other. Like Alanna asks Moiraine about the dog she used to have, which first of all, should be a cat, because cats love Aes Sedai, but that's fine, I'll forgive it. I feel like this little teasing situation is just, it's really cute, and it's not something that we got in the books at all. I feel like the second strongest plot in the episode was the Rand, Mat, and Tom plot. Of course, I loved the Aes Sedai stuff, all of it with Logain, it was amazing. But the Rand, Mat, and Tom plot took us further down the path of what the hell is going on with Mat, and Tom is this just dynamic figure that we keep getting surprised and pleased by, only to, unfortunately, possibly lose him. We start at this farm, we've got a farmer threatening them. Of course, they're just wanting to stay in the barn for the night, and that's what they say. Mat is incredibly defensive right away, which is a lot like Mat, I would say. And then all of a sudden, we get Rand kind of stepping in and, you know, rolling a d20 persuasion and diffusing the situation. And I feel like that is, once again, Rand and Yosha demonstrating his just absolute charisma, because I totally bought into it. Would I be soothed by shady Mat? Absolutely not. Would I be soothed by this calm, soothing Rand? 100%. You could sleep in my barn any day. And I did not mean that as a euphemism. Unfortunately, though, once we're safe and sound at the farm, we get corrupted Mat. But then we get sweet Mat when he gets surprised by this little girl just trying to give him some food. I am in love with Barney Harris's Mat. He is the sweetest thing I've ever seen every single time he interacts with little kids. It is perfect, and I feel like it's the perfect Mat. Just look at this sweet face. I'm really, in fact, in love with this character. But then Rand stumbles upon this. Creepy Matt. Terrifying Matt. Not so charming Matt. I would like to point out that this dagger has no blood on it. So, I'm gonna throw this out there. Matt did not do the killing of that family. I was really worried and didn't notice this the first time I watched this episode, but upon rewatch, I am convinced that it wasn't in fact Matt, and maybe Matt has some ability to sense evil, because otherwise, why did he wake up in the middle of the night and come into this obvious horrific scene if he didn't know that the Fade was there or didn't sense something was going on? Can I just say this, I see you, and then the Fade just kind of, ooh, oh my gosh, I love this. And then Tom goes just, Tom just owns. I love seeing Tom like this. There's a scene like this from the books where Tom saves Rand and Matt. It's in a different location, but I think this was a perfect replacement. I don't think I would change it. I think this was great. So, Rand and Matt escape once again. There's something horrifying going on with Matt, and we know from Tom and Rand's discussion, Tom has experience with men who can channel, and he suspects that Matt can because of this illness and because of what's going on with him. Obviously, Rand isn't so sure, but then we got the sweetest moment ever where Rand is like, you know, I'm always going to be here. And that's another moment that's similar to one from the books that I was really hoping for, and I'm so glad that I got it. So yeah, I guess the question going forward is, are we done with Tom? Is Tom gone? I know from the books what happens, but I don't know in the show because the show is changing a lot. So I guess I can cross my fingers because I absolutely love Alexander Willem as Tom and I want him back. Nynaeve also had a few great moments this episode, and before we get to the obvious moment, I just want to point out a couple that I really enjoyed. First, the moment between her and Lan. She comes out, he's praying, he explains to her what the old tongue that she knows means. It ends up being this really sweet thing that's another callback to Manetheren, which I love, perfect for world building. And then they have this sweet moment where she says, you know, you're not what I thought you were. I thought you were a dog with 2 legs or 2 hind legs or whatever. And then the moment he says, you're exactly what I thought you were. And she asks him what he meant by that. Of course, all hell breaks loose and we don't get his response, but how cute. I think we know exactly where those two are going. And I'm so excited to see, well, how fast it happens and how it happens, because I feel like this ship is being so much more developed in the show than it was in the books, and I feel like I keep saying that, where the show is taking plots from the books and just streamlining them and at times making them more modern or just making them work faster. In a good way, though. Another great conversation that Nynaeve had, other than the one with Lan, was her conversation with Liandrin. Liandrin is turning out to be one of the coolest, if not, she's not my favorite, but she's one of the coolest characters in this show. She's sneaky. She's got her motivations that we're not quite sure about. She's got amazing hair and clothes and bone structure. I am seriously obsessed with this. Liandrin is so good, and Nynaeve just knowing what she's up to and saying that woman's a snake the moment she leaves is chef's kiss. It's perfection. And the fact that she says it to Lan and Lan invites her to his fires because of course he wants her at his fire. It's just fabulous. Egwene and Perrin had a less exciting, far more peaceful episode than everybody else. We got dancing, we got flirting, we got lingering looks, we got laughter. Of course, Perrin was still a little moody about you-know-what, but I feel like we can forgive him for that. We got some interesting moments with Aram where he talks about how the Tinkers go off into the world to see if they really want to be Tinkers, which is very much like Rumspringa. And how only old people and children believe in the song. So I think we're getting a few little Easter eggs here, little hints where that Aram is going to be doing something different. Aram isn't going to be a full Tinker this whole time. He's a really fun character, so I wouldn't hate if we got to see a lot more from him. Of course, I think the standout performance in the Tinker Perrin Egwene plotline was actually Maria Doyle Kennedy as Isla. This story she tells about the reason that she wants the Way of the Leaf to work out with respect to her daughter being the victim of violence. It was incredible. She did such a great job. She sold me on the Way of the Leaf, almost. The battle happens. This right here, Alana, She is Green Aja to her core, more so than a lot of the greens that we got in the books, because she can actually do some work. And man, was it super, super fun to watch. I'm just gonna take a moment and take this all in because yes! Oh, yeah. I mean, and I love that she also is just more deliberate with her movements. It's not so much a dance with her, it's just a beat down. Of course, Rosamund Pike's Moraine was another focal point in this episode, and can I just say that she, once again, is an amazing, amazing Moraine. We got her interaction with Alana. Loved it. We got her interaction with Carini. Loved it. We had the interaction with Lan where she's trying to figure out whether they've made a mistake and then it could be Logain, and she's lamenting the fact that they lost the potential dragons, and Lan kind of in a moment of levity says, "You always get emotional when I drink." That was a lovely scene, but I feel like the emotion on her face and how she's way more vulnerable with Daniel Henney's Lan is such a cool thing to see. And then we got a little Dace-Daymar, a little game of houses out of our Moraine whenever she faced off with Logain one-on-one. These two in this scene together, where you can't figure out if Moraine is really trying to feel him out and decide maybe I should let him free if he's the real dragon, but then you realize she's actually manipulating him. She's biding her time until her sisters can come back because she knows she can't take him by herself. And he's eating it up until BAM! By the power of Grayskull, these Aes Sedai take him down. Not without a casualty, though. I have a feeling we're going to see what it means to have an Aes Sedai die, leaving a warder behind in the episodes to come. We got to meet Steppen, we got to like Steppen, and now Steppen is going through it. And I think it's going to be good. But like bad. But it's going to be good to watch. And then, of course, we've got the battle in the cave with Logain being shielded and Liandrin really, really struggling to hold it together. And then, of course, we've got the moment of all moments. Steppen comes in, completely beside himself, goes for Logain, and his axes, the hated axes, the axes that, people who are into weapons hated all along, get shattered. Literally wipes out the entire room except for Nynaeve. But it was close, and I wonder if that was a little bit of ta'veren action. Maybe she's a ta'veren, we'll see, saving her from that blade that almost hit her. But then she realizes that Lan is bleeding out, and wow, her reaction. I think my reaction to this was about the same as Logain's reaction to this. Full body chills, like a blazing sun. And there's a lot of speculation about what this is. In the books, there are certain people that have the ability to view ta'veren. So some people have speculated that Logain shielding his eyes and commenting on, the blazing sun of Nynaeve is a suggestion that he can view ta'veren and that Nynaeve is an incredibly strong ta'veren. That's a possibility. There's also the possibility that Nynaeve channeled and created a shockwave, like Sarah Nakamura said on Twitter. Or that, she channeled a bunch of weaves at the same time, not knowing what she was doing, and she ended up creating some light in the weave. Also a possibility. What we know is not the case is that Logain can see weaves, because that wouldn't make any sense, and also it was confirmed by Sarah Nakamura that that's not what happened. That is not why he shielded his eyes. And of course we've got Logain being gentled, with the VFX department and Alvaro Morte doing absolute work. I think this moment was incredibly powerful, and seeing the power explode out of his chest, a really cool choice, visually and thematically. So, I don't know about you all, but that was definitely the highlight for me. Nynaeve, in her first bout of channeling that we've seen, heals Lan and coincidentally everybody else in the room, even though I don't think that was her intention. Honestly, I don't know what her intention was other than not wanting Lan to die. And The romance. Oh my gosh. I still, every time I watch it, I well up, my eyes tear up. That is such an emotional scene that sent this episode way over the top for me. It was already a great episode, but that solidified it as so far easily the best yet. And I'm hoping we've got even better to come, even though I'm not sure how, because that was amazing. I think we can safely rule out Logain as the Dragon Reborn, but the mystery is still alive. At least for people who either haven't read the books or who believe that they might change things up in the show, because who knows. We've got Matt with this mysterious illness and Tom's description of what men who can channel end up like, and Matt's kind of reflecting some of those symptoms. We've got Nynaeve, insane powers. Egwene didn't have much to do this episode. Perrin didn't have a ton to do this episode besides agonize. Rand is still Rand. I mean, we love him. He's very persuasive. He's a sweet friend. And, you know, Tom was incredible, but obviously he's not dragon eligible. I love that the mystery is staying alive, even though it means that we're kind of shaving out certain things that we knew about in the books. Hopefully we'll get those things later on. All I have to say is that I am really, 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 really loving the Wheel of Time show so far. I'm so happy that it's happening. Thrilled, in fact. And I do a live show every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time where we break down the episodes. Me, Taviran Tavern, Wine Spring Cafe, and sometimes we have special guests. So if you want a live chat about this, hop on there. It'll be every week while the show is coming out. And once again, if you've enjoyed this, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell if you want to know when I post. Thanks for stopping by.